While you were asleep, something already shifted, and here is the tension most people are not ready to face. The world believes a year begins when humans decide it does, when plans are written, when resolutions are spoken, when motivation appears. But this year is different, because this time, God didn't wait for your permission. January 1st did not arrive empty. It did not arrive neutral. It did not arrive undecided. This day was already charged, already set, already activated. And whether you felt it or not when you opened your eyes, something had already been put in motion. Before your first thought, before your first worry, before your first doubt, before your first plan for this year even crossed your mind, God made the first move. That is why today feels unusual. That is why this morning carried a strange weight and a quiet intensity. You didn't wake up into a blank page. You woke up into a chapter that had already started writing itself. And this is not for everyone. This message is for the chosen ones, the ones who don't start seasons randomly, the ones whose lives are moved before they are informed, the ones who discover later what heaven already decided earlier. While you were unaware, something was aligned. While you were resting, something was released. While you were asleep, the year itself received instructions concerning you. And here is the question that should stop you right where you are. What exactly did God initiate while you had no idea it was happening? Because once you understand what began before you woke up, you will never see this year the same way again. Now, before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If you feel this message is already speaking to you, leave a like to seal this alignment. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because you are meant to stay connected to what is unfolding here. And comment 99 below. Spiritually, 99 represents completion before the final step, the moment right before fulfillment. It is the number of preparation meeting destiny, and that is exactly where you are standing today. January 1st is not powerful because a clock reached 0. It is powerful because alignment reached precision. Time does not intimidate heaven. Dates do not rush God. Calendars do not signal him. Purpose does. And that is the first truth most people miss, because they are trained to believe movement happens when numbers change, when pages turn, when fireworks fade. But God does not respond to dates. He responds to alignment. And alignment does not announce itself. It activates quietly, decisively, beyond human awareness. While the world was distracted by celebration, noise, and symbolic resets, something far more serious was taking place beyond what eyes can register. This was not about motivation. This was not about New Year energy. This was not about inspiration. It was repositioning, strategic, intentional, invisible. God initiated the year from a realm that cannot be measured, because what he needed to adjust could not be touched by hands or explained by logic. This was not a gesture, it was an operation. Understand this clearly. Nothing meaningful begins in the visible first. What becomes visible is always the echo, never the origin. The origin is always unseen, and while many were focused on what they would try to change externally, God focused on what had to be corrected internally, structurally, spiritually. Positions were recalibrated, access was redefined, boundaries were redrawn. Certain permissions that had been delayed were quietly released, not because you asked louder, but because the timing finally aligned with purpose. This is where awe replaces comfort, because this was not gentle, it was precise. Some resistances did not disappear emotionally. They weakened legally. Some obstacles did not move physically. They lost authority. Some delays did not end dramatically. They expired silently. Heaven does not always remove opposition by force. Sometimes it removes its right to stand. And when that happens, things collapse later without warning, leaving people confused about why doors suddenly open or pressure suddenly lifts. This is why nothing seemed different when you woke up, yet something feels undeniably altered beneath the surface. Because the first layer God touched was not circumstances, it was jurisdiction, the unseen framework that decides what is allowed to move, what is allowed to stay, and what is no longer permitted to block your path. When jurisdiction shifts, reality follows, always, but never immediately. There is a delay between decision and manifestation, and most people lose faith in that gap. Chosen ones are trained to recognize it. Do not mistake silence for inactivity. Silence is often the sound of something being finalized where observation is not allowed. While the world counted seconds, heaven finalized positions. While people spoke resolutions, God adjusted outcomes. And the most important part is this: none of this required your effort, because alignment is not achieved by striving. It is achieved when purpose and timing finally intersect. That intersection happened before you were conscious enough to question it. And here is what should hold your attention now. What shifted first was not what you can see, touch, or explain. It was something deeper, something foundational, something that, once it begins to surface, will make the last season suddenly make sense. And when that begins to appear, you will realize this year didn't start moving today. It was already moving toward you. One of the most dangerous lies people carry into a new year is the quiet belief that they are already late. Late to act, late to decide, late to fix what should have been handled before the calendar turned. And that belief creates pressure before the year even has time to breathe. But that pressure does not belong to you, because you did not wake up behind. You woke up ahead, even if your mind hasn't caught up to that reality yet. God moved first for a reason, not as a favor, but as a strategy. Because if the weight of initiation had been placed on you, pressure would have crushed clarity. If the responsibility to start correctly had been yours, fear would have disguised itself as urgency. So God removed that burden before you ever felt it. He did not wait for your motivation to rise. He did not wait for your energy to stabilize. He did not wait for your confidence to appear. He moved precisely so you wouldn't have to force anything at the beginning of this season. This year is not built on how strong you feel today. It is not built on how clear your vision seems right now. It is not built on how disciplined, focused, or inspired you woke up feeling. That is why you may feel strangely calm instead of driven, grounded instead of rushed. You are not missing ambition. You are missing pressure. And that absence is intentional. Because momentum was established before effort was required. Most people are trained to believe momentum comes after action. Heaven operates in reverse. Momentum is established first so action doesn't become exhausting. That is why striving feels wrong when alignment is already present. And that is why pushing too hard right now would actually place you out of sync with what has already been set in motion. You are not meant to chase this year. You are meant to walk into it. This realization changes everything, because suddenly, rest no longer feels like procrastination. Pausing no longer feels like failure. Taking your time no longer feels dangerous. You are not falling behind while you breathe. You are not losing ground while you observe. You are allowing your awareness to catch up to what has already been arranged. And that creates confidence without arrogance, calm without passivity, movement without anxiety. Pay attention to what you are no longer carrying. The heaviness you expected to feel on day one never arrived. The dread you thought would follow you into this year lost its grip. Certain worries that once dominated your thoughts now feel distant, less aggressive, less demanding. That is not because you solved everything. It is because something stopped demanding payment. When momentum exists, burdens loosen their hold. And when God goes first, pressure loses its power. You are not trying to get ahead this year. You are recognizing that you already are. And that realization is not meant to excite you. It is meant to stabilize you. Because confidence built on alignment does not shake easily. It does not rush. It does not panic when clarity takes time. It moves with certainty, not speed. But here is where urgency quietly returns. Because once you understand you are not behind, one question becomes unavoidable. If you are already ahead, what exactly is about to catch up to you? What began did not announce itself, and that was not an accident. It was protection. Many people expect divine movement to arrive loudly, visibly, dramatically. They wait for signs that shake the ground, confirmations that can be explained, moments that can be announced. But this beginning was intentionally quiet, because noise attracts attention, and attention attracts resistance. So God chose discretion over display. Some doors are not meant to open with celebration. They are meant to open with precision. When something is fragile in its early stage, exposure can become interference. That is why the most important shifts rarely arrive with applause. They arrive unnoticed, unchallenged, uninterrupted. What happened at the start of this year did not need witnesses. It needed safety, and safety exists in silence. Understand this. Not every delay is delay. Some delays are concealment, and not every quiet moment is emptiness. Some are shielding. God moved discreetly, because visibility would have activated forces that were never meant to have access to what was unfolding. There are eyes that only awaken when movement becomes obvious. There are voices that only rise when progress becomes public. So heaven reduced the volume, not the impact. This is divine intelligence at work. Strategic restraint, intentional subtlety. When something opens quietly, it avoids premature confrontation. It bypasses unnecessary battles. It allows stability to form before pressure arrives. Loud beginnings often collapse early. Quiet beginnings endure. What opens without resistance does not need to be defended later. Think about what did not happen. No dramatic sign, no emotional surge, no external confirmation that would invite questions or opinions. That absence was not lack, it was wisdom. Because once something is established beyond challenge, it can withstand scrutiny later. God does not expose foundations before they harden. He lets them settle where no one can tamper with them. This is why certain obstacles that once seemed vigilant now feel absent, not defeated. Absent. They were never informed. They were never alerted. They were never given the opportunity to interfere. Access was quietly revoked. Paths that once crossed your progress no longer intersect. And the most dangerous opposition is the one that doesn't realize it has already lost position. There is something powerful about moving unnoticed. It creates irreversible advantage. By the time resistance becomes aware, alignment has already matured. Doors that open this way do not swing back easily. They are not held open by force. They are held open by legitimacy. And legitimacy does not argue. It stands. This is not emotional. It is architectural. What God did was not to excite you. It was to secure you. And security is silent until it proves itself through longevity. That is why this beginning feels understated. It was designed to last, not impress. But here is what should stir your curiosity now. If a door opened so quietly that resistance didn't hear it, what exactly is now completely unreachable to what once blocked you? This is where many people misunderstand what a true new season looks like, especially for the chosen one. They expect disruption. They anticipate emotional turbulence. They assume that if something real is beginning, everything must shake first. But that belief belongs to seasons of correction, not seasons of establishment. This time, what began did not arrive as chaos. It arrived as stability. And that difference changes everything. This season did not start by uprooting you. It started by grounding you. Instead of pushing you into motion, it placed weight beneath your feet. Instead of demanding reaction, it created footing. That is because God does not expand what is unstable. He anchors first. Expansion without anchoring produces collapse. Increase without grounding produces loss. So before anything grows outward, something was secured inward. This is why the beginning feels calm instead of dramatic. Not empty, not stagnant, calm. A calm that is unfamiliar to those who are used to associating growth with pressure. But pressure is not proof of progress. Stability is. When God intends something to last, He removes the need for constant adjustment. He establishes you so movement does not disorient you later. Notice what you are experiencing. There is less inner noise, fewer urgent impulses, a strange sense of being held in place rather than pushed forward. That is not delay, that is positioning. A foundation does not move quickly, but it carries weight. And right now, you are being made capable of carrying what is coming without losing yourself in the process. Peace is not the reward at the end of the journey. In this season, peace is the confirmation at the beginning. It is the signal that what started is real. Because false beginnings are frantic. They demand reassurance. They require constant validation. True beginnings are steady. They do not beg for attention. They hold. This is not excitement. Excitement fades. This is not urgency. Urgency exhausts. This is certainty settling quietly into place. A certainty that does not need to explain itself. A certainty that does not fear interruption. A certainty that remains even when nothing dramatic is happening yet. Many people mistake peace for inactivity. But peace is not the absence of movement. It is the absence of instability. Beneath the calm, something is being reinforced. Beneath the stillness, something is being fortified. What looks uneventful on the surface is actually being secured at a level most people never consider. This is how God protects what matters. He stabilizes it before exposing it. He strengthens it before stretching it. And He gives you peace now so you do not panic later when expansion begins to test your capacity. Because here is what you must not miss. This calm is not the destination. It is the preparation. And once the foundation is fully set, what rises from it will not need to fight to stand. Something has shifted in the direction of the year itself. Not symbolically, not emotionally, structurally. Because once God moves first, the future does not remain neutral. It responds. The year you stepped into is no longer passive. It has already been addressed, spoken to, oriented, and that changes how everything unfolds from this point forward. Most people experience time as resistance. They push against it. They feel chased by it. They fear falling behind it. But when God speaks to a season before you arrive in it, time stops acting like an obstacle and starts behaving like a guide. It bends instead of blocks. It opens instead of delays. And without realizing it yet, you have stepped into a year that has already been instructed concerning you. This is why certain encounters will feel unusually precise, why conversations will arrive at the exact moment clarity is needed, why opportunities will appear without forcing. This is not coincidence. It is synchronization. God does not merely bless people. He coordinates environments, and coordination always happens ahead of awareness. You are not improvising your way through this year. You are entering moments that were already prepared to meet you. Pay attention to how timing begins to feel different. Not faster, smarter. Things will line up without explanation. Doors will open without persuasion. Recognition will come without performance. You will notice moments where effort feels almost unnecessary, as if circumstances are cooperating instead of resisting. That is what happens when alignment replaces struggle. When heaven speaks first, reality follows instructions, not chaos. This does not mean everything will be easy. It means everything will be intentional. Randomness loses its grip when purpose is active. You are not walking blindly into unknown territory. You are stepping into spaces that already recognize you, situations that already know why you are there, people who feel familiar before you understand why. That strange sense of, "this feels meant," is not emotion. It is confirmation. There is power in inevitability, quiet power, the kind that does not announce itself or rush to prove anything, the kind that simply moves forward because resistance has already been accounted for. This year will not need to be convinced to cooperate with your purpose. It has already been aligned to it, and alignment creates momentum without noise. This is why patience will feel easier than before, why waiting will no longer feel threatening, why silence will no longer trigger doubt. Because deep down, you will sense that movement is happening even when nothing visible is changing. When God speaks to a year, progress does not depend on your awareness. It unfolds whether you are watching or not. You are not trying to make things happen now. You are recognizing what is already happening. And that recognition will begin to sharpen your discernment. You will start noticing which paths feel effortless and which feel forced, which invitations feel natural and which feel draining. That is the year responding correctly, guiding you toward what was prepared and away from what was never meant to carry you forward. And here is the quiet tension that should stay with you. If the year has already been instructed and alignment is already active, then the next moments you walk into are not accidental. They are approaching you right now, already aware of who you are. You didn't wake up to a new year. You woke up inside a decision. And this is the moment everything you have felt, sensed, and noticed, without explanation, finally locks into place. Because God did not wait to observe your choices. He did not pause to measure your readiness. He did not hesitate to see if you would be strong enough. He decided. And when God decides, time doesn't debate. Reality adjusts. January 1st was never an invitation asking if you were willing. It was confirmation that something had already been approved. What began did not require your agreement to exist. It required your awareness to continue. And now that awareness has arrived, not to overwhelm you, but to steady you, not to pressure you, but to position you. You are not standing at the edge of possibility. You are standing inside fulfillment that has already entered motion. This changes how you see yourself. You are no longer hoping this year works out. You are no longer waiting for proof that things are finally turning. You are walking inside something that started working before you even opened your eyes. That means doubt has less authority now. Fear has less leverage. Hesitation has less influence. Because this season does not depend on how loudly you believe. It depends on what was already decided. Let this settle deep within you. This year moved toward you first. Your season did not begin loudly. It began correctly. And from this moment on, you are not trying to catch up with anything. You are continuing something that was already set in motion on your behalf. So stand differently. Walk with intention. Speak with confidence. Move without apology. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where alignment placed you. And what comes next will not need to convince you it belongs. You will recognize it the moment it arrives. If this message confirms what you already felt deep inside, comment this declaration below. I am walking inside what God already decided. Let it be your alignment in motion. Let it be your agreement with what has begun. And let this be the year you don't chase purpose. You continue it.